The secondary market for Magic the Gathering is a crowded, crazy place to spend your time. And when you've got a large collection of cards you're thinking of selling off and getting rid of, remember, some cards are worth keeping. Sooner or later, we all go shopping on the secondary market to buy Magic cards. But some of the cards you buy, some of the ones you get at a great deal, are not cards you should be letting go of. Other cards right now are poised at a perfect price point to be bought, and this might be just the right time to strike. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. And a big shout out and thank you to everyone who has been hitting that subscribe button. We are now over 16,000 subscribers, and as you guys know, at 20,000 subscribers, we are going to have a party that will be epic. So thanks to everyone who's been hitting the subscribe button, turning the notification bells on, and watching the videos each and every day. Remember, daily content every day from my channel. I upload something new each and every day for you. It's awesome. I can't wait till we reach that 20K. And don't forget to smash down some great comments in the comments section. Happy to chat with you guys all the time. So today's video is a card watch video. As you guys know, there's always a time when we go shopping at a card shop and you spend good money. Now, I don't care if you're buying a modern staple, commander card, you're diving into the reserve list, it doesn't matter. There are times to sell cards and there are times to hold on to them. When it comes to reserve list, I tend to buy when they're low and I like to hold on to my cards. I don't always buy when they're high, but I have in the past, of course, when there's a card I really want to get. I'm thinking of like the Gaia's Cradle or we're getting to like Sarah's Sanctum or something. There are cards that you always have to pay a premium for. But at times people get so busy with the game, they forget how high some cards have been or the possible uses for cards going down the road. So it's important to know you should hold on to your cards sometimes, especially for the longer term games. I mean, people will say it's not an investment, but the overall growth of the game, decade after decade, continues to grow. And the price fluctuations do come. And yes, right now, reserve list cards are slammed. They're nice and low. They're ripe for the picking for players, but also commander staple cards and cards that are going to be coming up in new releases that you might want to consider buying now before they spike. So let's take a look at the video today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I'm looking forward to this one, so let's get this started. Now, our first card is Zubri, Golden Feather from Mirage. This is an interesting case study on what can happen. So far, this card has been as high as 15, 20 bucks, okay? It had a few buyouts in, I guess, what was that, 2022? As soon as Dominaria United got, like, flashed to the world, and we saw there was a pretty cool Griffin in there, people went kind of nuts. But now things have calmed down. Now is the time to pick up those cards. You don't buy them at a spike, you buy them in the lull. Chances are there is going to be more Griffins on the way that will make cards like this utilized more often. Now, it says here, Zubri is a flying Griffin. It's 5 to cast. 1 white, 4 other. Counts as a Griffin itself, and all other Griffins get +1/+1. So it doesn't help itself, but the other Griffins out there will. Now think about the Griffins out there right now that have Vigilance, the ones that can get pumped up. There are a few unique Griffins out there. Most of them are white, but there's a few multicolored ones, a few blue, a few black. It's a card you should kind of keep an eye on. With its price where it is, and yes, I think it'll still fall, but if you were looking at this card on TCG Player right now, you're going to find it for $3-4 bucks. This is a card that as it's fallen like this, and the general populace of Magic has forgotten about it because, you know, nothing really happen with Dominaria United. You have to look at that card and say, what could happen down the road? Are we going to get more Griffins? Are other cards going to connect with this card to make it more utilized? Is there any changelings, any kind of shape-shifting cards that are going to work with this? And that's where you find it sitting there at $5 going, it's probably worth it. Is it going to go lower? I actually believe it will go lower, but it's definitely worth buying at this point because it's been as high as the $15, $20 level. Seeing it lose 2/3 of its value makes it a prime target for the average player who didn't buy one back then to buy it. Start picking up some of the key Griffin cards you do think you want to add to a Griffin tribal deck for Commander, whatever format you're going to play in, even to have some fun. And just hang on to 4 copies. 4 copies is going to cost you 20 bucks, even less if you look on TCG Player and buy like a moderately played. I mean, just something to keep an eye, guys. It's going to go lower, I think, because people aren't paying attention to it, but at the same time, it's at a good price point. Now, the next card. Seed of the Empire, and I'm gonna pick on the borderless version here, although all the copies here are pretty decent. This card was as low as like $2-3 when it came out. I remember people kind of ignoring this card, saying, okay, it does a little bit, but the actual mana base from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, I'm pretty pleased with it. Do I think it's going to be jumping into another set? Yeah, it's going to get reprinted. Okay, these cards are going to come around again. I'm kind of on the school of thought of like OG originals, but this is a card that when it finally cycles out, it will drop a bit. Or if it gets reprinted for a commander deck or somewhere else, if Wizards doesn't manage this little piece of IP property, it's going to drop. But if they leave it alone, if they don't do anything with it because they want this to be a kind of sought after land later, this is not a bad price point to get it at. For $7-8, getting a full art borderless, or spending $4 or $5 and getting the regular versions. But for an extra couple of bucks, the borderless, full art extended, I think it looks pretty beautiful. I wouldn't go for the foil, they curled a lot, but this particular version I do like. And let's face it, it's going to see play later. It's going to find a home in a lot of decks that even if it drops down to a 50-cent card, you don't have to sell it really because you got an original one, you own it now. I wouldn't buy a playset of 4, maybe just one for a commander deck, and maybe if you see some for trade or something, get them from somebody's binder, but it's a good card to own. Now the next card, of course, Otowar Soaring City, and it follows that same vein, okay? Now this card, you can see, look at the price point. Now I bought a playset of 4 for around $5 Canadian each. Nobody seemed to really grab this card when it first came out, and I said, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm going to buy a playset of 4. Just get it out of the way. Normally what I do, but this one I thought would be more expensive, and it wasn't. All right? So I look at Otowar, and you see the channel effects of all these cards as a mana base. I love the fact they don't come into play tapped. It reduces the cost if you've got legendary stuff out. We know Wizards is working on legendary creature type effects. Like, they've put it everywhere in the game now, and they're really expanding into multicolored decks. Otowar can fit into so many 5-color decks that it's going to be a staple card at some point. Is this a card that Wizards is going to reprint right away? I think if they were smart, and I'm not saying they are, but if they were smart, they would build some equity in this card. Let it go up a little bit, let it drift up to make Kamigawa cards more sought after, and allow this card to just naturally drift up as the product phases out. Maybe 3 years from now, reprint it, but give players time to enjoy it. So I don't think this card's coming around right now. If you go for a regular version or the borderless, I don't care. I don't see the price dropping right now is my problem. So it already is kind of high. You might want to wait a little bit and see if it goes down. I don't know if this card will drift upwards though. This isn't one of the ones where I can tell. I don't have enough data that tells me either way. It seems so even right now that I just don't feel it's going to drop or go up. So you got to decide to spend the cash or not. Now our next card, Rankle and Torbrand. Now, I'm choosing this card, and it's a fun card, don't get me wrong. But we have a return trip. We're going back to Eldraine, the wilds of Eldraine. We are going to see new fairies. This card will be a connecting card somehow. When you take a close look at the card, remember, it's a 30-cent card. You can buy the really fairy tale version for like 30 cents on TCG Player. I looked this up. It had lots of sales, by the way. It's a 3/4 flying, first strike, haste. Now, it costs 5. It has a very high mana cost for what it is. 3/4 doesn't seem very powerful. But if you look at the little effects it does, it says whenever Torbrand deals combat damage to a player, choose any number. Not just one, choose any number. Just like Rankle can, right? So you got Rankle on the side. Each player creates a treasure token. That's great for commander or for a standard play. Each player sacrifices a creature. Very unique with all the kind of token generation you can use. And if a source would deal damage to a player or battle this turn, it deals that much damage +2 instead. Very interesting card. Now, I talked about this with Dwarven Pony, making this kind of card unblockable, right? I mean, it doesn't have menace itself, but making a card like this unblockable is pretty fun already because it's a fairy dwarf. These hybrid cards that have multiple effects, fairy dwarf, they're going to be affected by both tribal effects, but with fairies coming back up again, and we're going to see them in Wilds of Eldraine, I think a card like this might actually spike in value. You may not be sure of it, but why not buy 8 copies for $1? And if it happens to spike to $3-4, you come out on top. I'm not saying you should speculate. I'm just saying there's the potential for a card like this to go up because you don't know what they're going to give us in Eldraine. We don't know what's coming down the Wilds of Eldraine right now, but this kind of card could connect. If not now, possibly in the future, okay? And again, it's so cheap. Now, Elephant Graveyard. Yeah, this is reserve list, guys. I get it. It's expensive, but let's look at the card. It's Arabian Nights. This set had a print run of 5 million cards. Smallest, by far. It's the first expansion of Magic. It says tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or regenerate an elephant or mammoth. That includes like Loxodons and stuff, and Quintus, and all these crazy elephants we have nowadays. This card does seem expensive when you see it on paper. I'm not going to lie. It's expensive. 300 something bucks. But if you look on TCG Player, that's for near mint. You can find them for like 200 bucks. It still seems like a lot, right? Except for when you're comparing, this is a 30-year-old card. And you're comparing against things like, I don't know, Elspeth, Archmage, who just lost like 70% of her value, the Archangel. Or how about any of the Praetors who've lost value that came out that were 70, 80 bucks? Maybe the Great Henge, which was a $75 card, is going to drop down to probably 40 or 50. This card's a keeper, and I would buy it now. That's weird for me to say at 200 and something dollars a card. And you can see, near mint's going to cost you a fortune, but are we going to see more mammoths and elephants in the future? Yep, guaranteed. Over the years, we're going to see them. And after you own this, you just don't sell it. You hold on to it. And anytime you want to regenerate, you just tap it. Crazy. And if you want to enhance that effect, you go out there and get Yavimaya Hollow, and now you've got 2 things that can regenerate, and they're both lands. It's insane to think this card is this cheap. It shouldn't be here. Okay? I shouldn't be able to find it at this price point. It's crazy. All right, let's that one gets me upset. It's awesome for us, the player, but I feel bad for people not recognizing it. Brazen Borrower. Okay. This card is a card I wouldn't buy. I love the Brazen Borrower. We all know this thing was like 30, 40 bucks. But this is a card you can avoid. Okay? There's a chance it's coming back. If it doesn't come back, the price might drift up. Might drift up a bit, depending on how many they give us. But it is a prime target to get reprinted at this price point already. So I don't think you should be investing hard-earned money into buying this card. It's been trending up in price, and I don't like that for anyone who's thinking about buying a card like this. It's a fun card. I used a whole bunch of them when I was building decks with this set. It's crazy to be able to like return stuff and then flash it out. It's a great card. Okay, great card. Don't get me wrong. But I remember players trading these things in at 40 bucks. I remember people buying them at 40 bucks, and look where it is now. It's starting to drift up because we got Wilds of Eldraine coming. People don't know what to expect. They're thinking I should buy a couple of copies. Let this one lie. Don't buy it. Okay, it's not worth buying right now. It's not worth the risk of spending 13, 14 bucks when the thing could drop all the way down to like 5 bucks if it gets a reprint or appears somewhere that Wizards puts it into a commander deck for Wilds of Eldraine. I would just skip it. Now, Castle Laughlin. Throne of Eldraine. Now, this one's already been reprinted. I think we had this in Baldur's Gate, right? Commander Legends Baldur's Gate. Some of these lands have already shown up. This one's totally trended down, and it's going to continue to fall. And if this card hits like $1.52 as an OG original, that's when I would buy it. It's not a bad card, has lots of playability, fits into a lot of commander decks, and after you own a couple of them, you don't have to worry about it. This card had a little bit of value when it first came out. Players were using it. I used it all the time, especially when you have no cards in hand. You just like lose 1 life to draw a card. A fun card all around, and drawing is always a nice ability. But when it was as high as $6, $7, players were still buying it. It's drifted all over. The reprint kind of killed the price off now, and it sits down here just kind of relaxing. If this thing hits like $2, that's when I would go ahead and say, you know what? $2, buy a playset if you don't have them already. And I would buy the original version, okay? I wouldn't go for anything other than that. Now, let's go to the last card. Yeah, we're going back to the Griffins here because, again, this card has been 20 bucks. And where I'd say Zubri was a great buy. Griffin Canyon from Visions at 11, 12 bucks for near mint. And you can find lightly played for $6, $7. This is the exact same thing as Zubri, okay? This card spiked up because of Dominaria United. Now it's calmed down. We've waited all this time. It's drifted down. And we have a card that adds 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Doesn't come into play tapped or anything. And it can untap a target Griffin. And that Griffin gets +1/+1. Think about that on the game effect nowadays. Think about how that will interact with Griffins. Or any card that counts as a shapeshifter. Or anything of the like. It's actually a pretty good utilitarian card. It is reserve list. And it's $6 lightly played on TCG Player. And of course, if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, don't forget to use my affiliate link. Just click the link found in the description of all of my videos. Takes you right to TCG Player for your shopping experience. The channel here gets a 3.5% kickback. It's crazy, and I appreciate everyone who takes the time to do it. But a card that I've shown you like that, like Griffin Canyon at $6, when you compare it to anything new, this is reserve list. Some of these cards are just poised to be bought. It's there for the taking. Will they go up? I can't promise that. I have no idea. But will they make more Griffins? Yes, they will. Could they make more powerful Griffins, more powerful fairies? Yep, they could. They can make more Minotaurs, more dragons. Wizards is always reaching into the pot to create new things, and they don't always look to see what the after effects will be on the secondary market, especially for reserve list cards. Something to think about for the future, guys. And some of these cards are worth buying. Others are worth holding on to. Thanks again for tuning in today and hanging out with me on the channel. Thank you for allowing me to entertain you each and every day with my videos. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow with another video. I look forward to seeing you guys then. Have a great day. Here we are at the end of the video, and I gotta say thank you to each and every one of the fantastic patrons on my channel who support me each and every day. The patrons are amazing. We know it's true. Thanks again to each and every one of you. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. You made it till the end. Can you believe? All right, first of all, welcome back to the end. Thanks for the ramble jamble. Here we are. Don't worry, I still have a little bit of coffee. I'm supposed to finish 2 videos today. No chance. I got stuff to do. I'm exhausted. One of those days you just go, oh, but it's okay. It's okay. Busy weekend coming up. Busy weekend. So, Elephant Graveyard. What's up with that being so cheap? I know 250 seems like a lot of money, but that card's been way higher. And it just tap and regenerate. You have a Maya Hollow. Tap and regenerate. Some of these cards, you're just like, they shouldn't be here, but they are. It's crazy. And for anyone who's paying attention, no, I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to ruin it. You wait till tomorrow's video. I'll share those cards with you then. But there's some good ones tomorrow too. Ones that I'm paying attention to. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Let's put Necronomicon. Necronomicon. Because, it's just a little spooky.